Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. So this time I am going to update you guys on some exciting news, which I'm sure you could tell just from the title that yes, I'm actually getting top surgery. So no actual clickbait on this. I went ahead and so I've obviously I've recovered from all my other surgeries from my previous videos. If you know that I had an oophorectomy, which meant I got my ovaries removed, or the one ovary I had left, in April, hysterectomy in June, and then 5 days after that, on July 1st, I had an emergency appendectomy, you know, because my body decided it needed to get rid of yet another organ on my, you know. And now that I'm recovered from all of that, I have gone ahead and I've done an initial consultation with a surgeon. I went to my GP, they gave me a referral to the surgeon, did all that, and then they started doing the pre-approval process with my insurance company, who then said, well, we need more information from the therapist. So went back to my therapist, and we kind of had a little exchange back and forth between my therapist and the surgeon's office, getting the information that the insurance company needed. And then just a couple weeks ago I got a letter in the mail saying, we approve you. I'm like, really? I was not expecting them to approve the surgery, just because of all the nightmare stories I hear from so many other trans guys. And well, I know a lot of trans guys, you know, because of the fact that they're young and they can't afford to pay for, they can't afford to get insurance, and so they don't have insurance, and therefore they have to pay out of pocket. And then other nightmare stories of where they do have insurance, but the insurance company refuses to cover them. So there's just a lot of that going on in the whole thing with being trans and stuff, and I just feel incredibly fortunate that my insurance company has agreed to do this. It helps the fact that I have maxed out my deductible and my out-of-pocket expenses because of everything else I've had this year, and so because of that, I think that's maybe part of it. I don't know. I mean, I guess they could always just have said no entirely and just not covered anything, so I'm just incredibly fortunate. I'll admit I'm actually feeling a little bit guilty because so many other trans guys out there and trans women who want to have their surgeries and things, and they can't because they can't afford it, or they have to like drain every penny out of their savings to get the surgeries that they need. So that's kind of like, you know, on one hand, you know, I'm excited and I'm happy, but I'm also feeling just a teeny bit guilty. So for all of you other trans people out there, I'm sorry that I'm getting it, and that you're, for those of you who are still struggling to get your surgeries, you know, sorry that for some reason I'm getting it, and you know, I'm really excited that I'm able to, and I'm going to be so glad to get rid of my binders and everything. And I was excited to get my binders 2 years ago and everything, but I'm kind of done and over with wearing them at this point. I mean, they're not bad. They really aren't. At least the ones I get. I use, and forgive me if I get the name wrong, GC2B, I think is the name of the company, of the binders that I get, and they're, as binders go, they're very comfortable, but you know, wearing them for, you know, however many hours I am during the day. I try not to wear them all day long, and there's certain days, if I know I'm not leaving the house, I tend not to wear them at all. But when I am wearing them, like I am now, you know, right now, I'm actually still feeling quite comfortable. I mean, it's snug, and it feels like it's hugging me and that kind of thing, and it's actually nice. In the summertime, that extra layer is a little bit on the sweaty side, though, so that's, you know, that's one of the downsides. But then also after a few hours, I have a lot of back issues and stuff, and so it's certainly not doing my back any favors by wearing this. But in general, otherwise it's fine. I don't have any problems breathing. They're not too tight or anything. I know that a lot of people might overdo it with how tight that they wear theirs to try and squish their chests down, and I'm like, I'm fine with having pecs. I've got it tight enough to squish me down to pecs, and not to go flatter than that. And I think that works perfectly fine for me, and so maybe that's why mine are not as tight as they could be. But I went based off of the sizing recommendation from the company, and I know that they warn people don't go a size smaller than we recommend. It's really not healthy for you, but I'm wondering if some people might actually still do that anyway, and that can be dangerous, because I hear a lot of people complaining about, like, it's too tight, it's struggle to breathe, so they can't exercise, and this and that and the other. It's like, well, maybe you're a size too small. Just maybe. Just think about playing around with the sizes and stuff, and getting to a place where you're getting enough compression, but at the same time able to breathe. If you can't breathe, I think you're going too tight. I mean, the ones I have now are, they're a struggle just to get on and off as it is at the tightness I have, and it's still not so tight that I can't breathe. They're tight, but they're comfortable, if that makes any sense. Other than, like, initially it doesn't hurt my back. It's just if I wear them too long, my back starts protesting a bit. So, and then it's like, okay, then I just got to take it off, and that's just the way it works. But anyhow. So yes, I'm getting top surgery, yes, which is great. And I also recently just got a diagnosis for something, which is something I've struggled with since I was in puberty, since I hit puberty, and it's chronic fatigue syndrome. It's something I've suspected that I've had for a long time, but I've always had doctors say, oh, it's all in your head, you're not taking enough vitamins, you're not getting enough sleep, you're overdoing it with caffeine, yada 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 yada. And for years, I've changed, and so between my weight and my fatigue and everything else, I've done a lot to change my diet. I've cut out junk food, I've cut out adding sugar, I use sugar substitutes now, I use erythritol, which is a naturally occurring sugar alcohol, and out of all of the things, like stevia is great, and I used stevia for years, but it's kind of bitter, and so I tolerated it, but then I found the erythritol, and a lot of the like Truvia and those kind of things, they mix stevia with erythritol, and I decided to try erythritol by itself without the Reb A stevia in it, and it tastes just like sugar to me, but it doesn't have the insulin response in your body, and it's considered 0 calories and that kind of thing. So I've been using that in my tea and stuff. I generally don't drink coffee anymore. I used to drink a lot of coffee. Back in college, I was up to like 10 cups a day, and then I would have the caffeine hangovers on the weekends, and it was not pretty. And I've actually gotten an intolerance to too much caffeine. If I drink a too strong cup of regular coffee, it actually makes me really nauseous now, and so I just can't drink that much caffeine all at once anymore. So I just drink decaf now, and I still will drink caffeinated tea, but it has a lot less caffeine in it, the kind I drink, and so I will drink 3 or 4 cups of that in a day instead of the 10 cups of full strength coffee. So that's a big change I made a few years ago and things, but I've done a lot to work on my energy levels and everything else. I take the B12 vitamins and just B vitamins in general, and I have a whole slew of supplements that I take for different reasons, but none of that was really helping, because every time I try and exercise, at first it's fine. I can go for several months where I'm ramping up and I'm doing like 2 days a week, and then 3 days a week, and then 4 days a week, and then every other day, and that kind of thing. I've never gotten to the point where I'm able to do all 7 days a week of exercise, but I'll work on it. And then I go out for walks. I can't jog. I have problems with my heart. I get tachycardia if I try to go too fast and that kind of thing. And then if it's adverse weather, I have my elliptical at home. I have a weight bench at home. So I mean, I try to do right by my body and exercise and be healthy, but then eventually I hit a wall with fatigue, and I just get drained, where I'll wake up one morning and it feels like a truck ran me over, and I just can't move, and my muscles are sore, and my body is just really heavy, and I have no motivation. I'm really tired. We've ruled out depression. That's not what it is. We've ruled out thyroid, and actually the most recent episode of this this fatigue, I actually thought it might actually be my thyroid, because I had the thyroid surgery back in December. I only have half a thyroid now, and we've been watching my thyroid levels, and back in July the levels were starting to go off, and they were like, okay, you know, we'll hold off on the medication until you start getting the fatigue, because I was feeling fine. And so that, like, when you start feeling the fatigue, let us know, we'll do another blood test, and then we'll figure out what levels of medication you need. So I hit that wall of fatigue a few weeks ago, and it's like, okay, you know, this time it's got to be my thyroid, because every time in the past when I've had the fatigue and I've been tested, the thyroid levels are normal, and so that's where I get my whole doctor's like telling me, well, it's all in my head or something. But so this time it happened, I was like, okay, it's got to be the thyroid this time, and nope. Like I said, the numbers were a bit off in July. Well, they went back to normal. Again, it's like, what? For some reason, my thyroid likes to mess with me. Let's put it that way. So, we tested again, and yep, they're still normal. So, just in case it was a problem with that last test. So, you know, and this time I'm actually seeing an endocrinologist instead of just a general practitioner. And so he had me come in, and we sat down, we talked, and he asked me a bunch of questions. And he's like, okay, based off of your blood work, we've been watching my blood work with a bunch of different measurements, not just, because obviously with my transition and with my testosterone and everything, he's looking at a whole bunch of blood work, and not just my thyroid or not just my testosterone levels. He's looking at, I don't remember the names of them, but there's like 5 to 10 different things that he's measuring with my blood work. And so he's like, based off your blood work, based off of what we just discussed, based off of just all of this history that you have, it's most likely that you have chronic fatigue. I was once misdiagnosed with fibromyalgia like 25 years ago, which is kind of like the opposite side of the coin of chronic fatigue. And one of the things that the endocrinologist said was that with fibromyalgia, like, they both have pain, discomfort, soreness, and fatigue as hallmarks of their how they're presenting, but fibromyalgia tends to be more pain focused. That pain is more of the problem, and fatigue is kind of secondary, whereas with chronic fatigue, the fatigue is the primary thing and the pain is secondary, which that really resonated with me, and I'm like, that's what they missed with the fibromyalgia diagnosis. Because the other thing with fibromyalgia is that there's like 18 tender points on your body, and you have to have at least 11 of them to be diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and they diagnosed me with my fibromyalgia with only 2 tender points. and my endocrinologist laughed at that. He's like, yeah, that certainly was a misdiagnosis. So they kind of missed the mark on that. Like, I should have been diagnosed with chronic fatigue back then, based off of everything, and not with fibro. And so I've been spending all this, you know, and I knew within about a year or two after that diagnosis that it was wrong, that I didn't have fibromyalgia, and I had another doctor help get me out of that diagnosis. I went off the medications for that, and I took some supplements, and that actually helped for a time. Although it obviously, like, so my fatigue used to be like almost constant, and now it's like it kind of comes and goes in waves. So I'm fine, I start exercising, I try to be healthy, and then wham, I hit the fatigue, and then for several weeks, sometimes a couple of months, I just don't have the energy to exercise or do much of anything else. It's a struggle for me to even get out of bed sometimes. And then once I start feeling better, then I start exercising again, and then I'm fine for a few weeks or months, and then bam, it hits me again. And it just kind of is this constant cycle for me. For a long time I thought maybe it was my heart condition that was part of it, because of the more I exercise, the more tachycardia I experience, and I need to try to ramp that back, but then I end up with the fatigue anyway, so it's complicated. But now I've got the diagnosis, and I've been looking at research on the Mayo Clinic website and the CDC website and that kind of thing, And there's certain supplements, there's supplements that they recommend that might be helpful, and I'm actually taking several of them already, but the one thing that I wasn't taking is something called ribose. That is one that I've never taken before, and so I'm like, hey, there is something there, so let's try that. So for the last several days, I've been adding ribose to my diet. I've been doing some smoothies with the ribose because it is kind of like a sweetener. It's a sugar molecule, but it's also, I think it's low in calorie. It's not pure sugar, that kind of thing, but it's related to sugar. And so I've been adding it to some smoothies I've been making, and then today I'm using it as a sweetener in my tea. And my energy levels do seem to be coming back since since I've been taking it. So I don't know if this is the actual cure. Nothing is said to cure chronic fatigue, but this can't help. And so if this can help get me out of my fatigue faster and help me to get back into exercising again, that will be great, because I need to try and stay on top of that before my surgery so that I'm in as healthy and fit of a form as I can before I go in for surgery. So there is that. And then the last thing I want to address, because for those of you who follow my videos, you know that my dog has cancer. He has osteosarcoma. So the tumor, it was 11 months ago when he was diagnosed. He was given 10 months. So the fact that he's made it 11 months is a wonderful thing. The tumor was reduced from the radiation and the chemotherapy he had before, but the tumor has started to grow back, and it's starting to affect his head and his face, and it has metastasized into his lymph nodes and into his lungs. And I know the hospital was recommending more chemotherapy, but at this stage of things, I mean, there's no guarantee it's going to extend his life or reduce his discomfort. And so at this point, I think we're kind of looking at diminishing returns for treatment, and it's going to cost another buttload of money. I've already spent well over $20,000 on treating him at this point, and as much as I don't want to lose him, I've kind of come to the painful decision to say no. I'm giving him all of his medications. He's on gabapentin, he's on pentoxifylline and Rimadyl, and he has amitriptyline for anxiety and vitamin E, and so he takes that every day. And right now he's still eating, he still has appetite, he still has energy, he still wags his tail, he still bounces and is happy when I come home and for dinner time, and when I throw toys and stuff for him and stuff. So for now he's still okay, but his lymph is really enlarged, his tumor is growing back, and so it's a matter of days or weeks before it's time for him to go. And so by the time I probably make my next video, he might actually be gone, and I will probably post a memorial video for him when that happens. So anyway, it's a sad thing. He's been a part of my life for 9 years now, and he is going to be greatly missed by me and by his sister. I still have his sister Lexi. Her health is fine. She was having a skin condition problem, but we finally figured out what that was, and that's been fixed and everything. So she's still as healthy as a 9-year-old pup can be. They're mixed breed. They're Australian Shepherd, Border Collie, and Coyote. They were born on a reservation near Telluride, Colorado. So there's a tiny bit of coyote in them, and you can kind of see pictures of them and stuff. And they've both been just absolutely amazing dogs. I don't have to crate them when I'm not home. They don't destroy anything in the house. They have a dog door if they need to go out in the backyard, and they have toys, and they stick to their toys. They know what's theirs and what's not, and they are just absolutely wonderful dogs, and I'm just so privileged that I've had them in my life, and I'm glad that Lexi's going to do fine, and I'll have her around for a while, and I will get another pup after Joey's gone. I'll take some time to grieve his loss and recover from my surgery in November, and then next year, once I'm recovered and everything, I'll probably start looking at rescues to bring another pup in the house, because Lexi needs a companion, if nothing else. So anyway, that's all of my updates for this video. I don't know when I'll post another one. I mean, obviously, I'll do one as a memorial for Joey, and then I might do another update about me before my surgery, but I'll definitely do an update after that. I don't know if I'll do a Vlogmas series or not. I'll be recovering from my surgery, so it's not like I'll be doing a lot of other things, so I might do Vlogmas. We'll see. But that's everything for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care. Bye.